Pump it up. Good morning, good morning, good morning, wonderful, magnificent Monday morning to you all. Before we get started, you see the topic there. You see what we're going to dive into a little bit. Before we get started, let me cross-check all the platforms to make sure I'm good and everyone is hearing me correctly. It is such a beautiful, such a great Monday morning, is it not? Is it not a great Monday morning, folks? I think it is. I think it's a good one. It's a good one. Yes, it is. Yes, it sure is. It's a great Monday. They're all good Monday mornings, even if when you think about it, to be 100% honest, you're not even trying to play with any Ohio State fans that are tuning in. They're all great. Win, lose, or draw. They're great. It's great to be alive. It's great to have platforms in which you can express yourself, give your thoughts, give your opinions, explain things that need to be explained to the folks that just don't know what the hell they be talking about, but they get paid to say the wrong things over and over and over again. It's a great thing that we have our own platforms to share what we need to share and explain to folks what needs to be explained. All right. So we are all good on all the platforms. And again, you see the topic today. We are diving into the rivalry week recap. We'll be discussing the big one, obviously the one I have right here. Right here on heart, the go blue. Getting that massive upset for the program. Huge upset, huge day for all the fans. It was great. It was wonderful. But we'll also be diving into the Florida State, Florida one. I reside out here in Florida. Huge part of the reason why I decided to move to Florida is because of the football culture, the football atmosphere, understanding, being around it, absorbing myself in all of it. I'm here for it. So we can talk a little bit about the post game situation, the tensions that happened in the Florida State and the Florida one, and then my hometown of Silver Spring, Maryland, the Maryland and Penn State rivalry, as not as known as Florida State and obviously Ohio State, Michigan, but something that is relevant in my world, seeing that I grew up right behind the University of Maryland's campus, and I was there when they transitioned from the ACC to the Big Ten, and when Penn State and Maryland became a rivalry, there's a lot of things to discuss there. So before we get started, let me introduce myself to anybody that's new to this world. You see, I'm starting at a earlier time than I normally do because we got a lot of ground to cover. We have a lot of things to talk about. All right. So for those of you who are new to my world, my name, As One Crookshank, one and only Move Swiftly speaker, not a motivational speaker, but a Move Swiftly speaker. Right. Former Division I college football player and current 5-time published author and educator, here to give you a perspective on teamwork every single day. This is what we do multiple times a day. You look my name up, you look up Innovative Teamwork, you go on your podcast app and you look up Innovative Teamwork, you're going to see my show, everything I'm all about. You're going to see that show pop up as the first thing that pops up. This is what I built. This is what I'm all about. So being that I'm all about that, college football and the things that go on in college football, the rivalries, the tension, the way you build out rosters, the way you go and recruit from year on for 12 months out of the year. All right. College football provides an unbelievable example as to how you go about as a business owner, how you could use the game to go about putting together a staff, putting together an organization, putting together a business that's moving in a cohesive unit. And then you have people coming into your organization that have a level of pride. And this week is one of the highlights of that week, of all of these concepts and these principles. In my opinion, it's the best week because we see teams really play for their universe. You see young men really going after it. I mean, some of them, the majority of the guys that played this past Saturday, they're playing in their last college football game. It'll be the last time they ever suited up. ever. It'll be done. They're not coming back. All right. Something that they've been doing since they were a kid. And then boom, you blink, it's over. All right. Now it's on to the real world, and you got to go figure out what you're going to do with your life now that you can no longer compete in the game. That was the magnitude of the things that went down this past Saturday. All right. So before we get into all of that, let me get through some announcements real quick. Anybody in the West Palm Beach area, if you have not yet, and you are interested in free boxing lessons, just hit the QR code right there. Doing them every 2 weeks. We started last week, and now we're going to go, December 7th, and then we'll be doing them every 2 weeks thereafter. So just make sure you tap in with me there, hit the QR code or message me, and we'll get you some more information. Secondly, business owners, if you have not yet, go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Seeing that I have so much content on innovative teamwork and how to reduce turnover and all those things, I created 10 steps, 10 principles, 10 things that you can use right now in your business that'll start to lead to a culture that is more cohesive, a culture and things that you could be using that makes it so the people that are coming in and out of your job, the people that are coming into work every day, they have a level of pride. They take a level of pride in what they do. There's measurables, there's things that they could be doing right now that's going to make them better. And finally, Patreon people, Patreon. Listen, again, if you listened to me yesterday, there's too much content about me now that's out there at this point. It's soon enough. I'll be focusing primarily on the people who are Patreon members. All right. And you need to be a member, especially if you're serious about building your business, if you're serious about making sure the members and the employees and the staff and the people that you bring in to run your business and represent your brand. If you're serious about bringing the right people in to fit the right mold of the company, to create opportunities to build your business, to take your business to levels that you can't, you need to be a part of the Patreon community that I am building as we speak. The link is right there, patreon.com/aswand44. All right, let's get into it. All right, so let's get a cup of coffee here. And I want to take my time with this one. Because this is a lot. There's a lot to digest when it comes to exactly everything that we witnessed. All right. Everything that we witnessed when it comes to college football and all the rivalry week stuff. And this was a rival game for every team. You saw it across the entire country. It wasn't just a Michigan, Ohio State thing. It wasn't just Florida State, Florida. It was rivalry week throughout all of college football. I saw Auburn, Alabama, Iron Bowl. There's a lot of things that come up. All right. So I'm going to start today off with the kickoff question. All right, kickoff question. For those of you new to this world, every Monday I do a kickoff question to kind of get things started, get your mind thinking, get an understanding of where we're going to be going. All right. So the kickoff question today is, has the flag planting? We have to address this flag planting thing. All right. We have to address the flag planting. All right. We have to address, has flag planting just simply gone too far? All right. And the short answer, my response, my take, and I'm curious to hear what you guys may be thinking in the comments, or if you're catching this on the replay, just message me or, leave comments below or whatever. It's also a poll on my YouTube channel as well. Yes. 1000% yes. All right. Flag planting. And those of you who don't know or may not know football is as detail oriented as I do. What flag planting is when you are the away team, you win a game or win a huge game against your arch rivals. It's huge, obviously, because, you just traveled and you had to deal with the crowd and you went in there. You got to win. You got a resilient win, and the passion, the pride, the level of the gratifying piece of it and everything, just the relief, the sense of relief. All right, we'll say it like that. The sense of relief that you feel in the moment of winning an away game. And I've been a part of that as a player and a coach of winning against your arch rival on their field. I mean, kicking their ass on their field. There's nothing sweeter. It feels good. It does. I get it. All right. I'm so empathetic towards that feeling. I get it. It feels damn good. All right. It feels damn good. However, planting the flag on the opposing team's middle of the field has just gone too damn far. It just has. It has. And again, if you disagree with this, please leave it in the comments. Tell me, but it has just gone too far. It shows a lot of, first of all, it shows a lot of disrespect for the people that have paved the way, the people that have really, put their blood, sweat, and tears into the game of college football to build up these massive platforms, to build up these huge stadiums, to create such a loyal following, the donors that spend hand over fist, throw millions of dollars to these organizations to have some team, some kid from another program who doesn't really respect the game, hasn't really grown up in the game, hasn't really understand who he is as an adult yet because they're still college kids. To have some kid come in and plant the flag and disrespect the flag the way you do when you flag plant, that is wrong. All right. And in my opinion, when you see everything that went on this weekend with the fights breaking out, I'm going to play you a couple clips in a second, but when you see how it puts certain people in danger, because you get a lot of this is a prideful game. All right. It's like Ryan Day said about it. It's a prideful game. You get a lot of guys that are top class athletes, very physically in shape. And you get a couple 50 of them brawling, a huge brawl on the field with that kind of stuff. You got to control it. All right. I'm going to play you 2 clips that display my point. And again, I'm a Michigan fan, diehard Michigan. I have the hat right here. Don't worry about it. I have the hat right here. What's up? I have the hat right here. We're going to dive into that game in a couple minutes later on in the show. But when you see the events and when you see what happened at the end of the game, I resonated a lot with what the Ohio State players were going through. Again, you're speaking to someone that played at a school named Good Counsel High School. We lost 3 years in a row to our arch rivals, the Matha High School, and they didn't even give it a second. It was through the handshake. You had the Matha players, you had their parents just sticking it up our ass. Twisting the knife and twisting the knife and twisting the knife. I'll never forget, the handshakes and how they were smiling at us like, what now? There was a lot of that. And it just give the people some space. Give the people some space when you get your victory. So what happened this past Saturday at the Michigan game is there was a guy who was running with the Michigan flag, and you saw Jack Sawyer, who was there, a senior leader. Again, I thought he played a great game. I thought that it was actually the Ohio State receivers and some of the things that they weren't doing offensively is what lost them the game. But I thought Ohio State defensively played obviously well enough to win the game. So he, as Jack Sawyer, is obviously very frustrated, very disappointed, seeing that he did everything he could to beat his arch rival. He's just running with emotion. So somebody's running around with the Michigan flag and he grabs it and he throws it around and he's upset. And because of that, the person who's trying to get the Michigan flag back wasn't a player. It looked like it was just a member of the support staff or whatever. And then that person gets in danger because now you got top world-class athletes in Ohio State. He's in the middle of all this red about to get his ass whooped because he has this Michigan flag. And, they're just hopped off of a loss. And I felt horrible for the guy. So I'm going to play these 2 clips, and then we'll get into more of what happened this weekend during Rivalry. So here's the first one. Do you see my point? The guy with the hat, the amazing blue hat, he looked like he wasn't a member, like he wasn't a player on the team. He didn't have pads on. He wasn't protected. This is him just doing his job and getting the flag. And because they're running around with it in this sea of red, his ass is put in danger. Like, I saw that and I was scared for him. I was scared for him because you're around world-class athletes that are pissed off. They just lost. They have to eat it. They're not going to be the Big Ten champ. They're not even going to get to the Big Ten championship game. Very likely they lost. They're going to lose their coach if they don't go and win the national championship and all that. And you get this guy who may be kind of a casualty because for years, this game has been known as a war. All right. So let me play it for you again so you see how dangerous it can be when it comes to this flag planting thing and why I believe the NCAA needs to step in. Somebody needs to step in. It's hard to to say the NCAA can do anything now. At least the Big Ten find both the programs. But it just needs to stop. I'll play it for you one more time, then I'll play the other one just to give you an idea of how much danger he was actually put in. The sad part is it wasn't even just the player that pushed him. There was somebody else who came in from Ohio State and pushes the guy. He doesn't have any pads on or anything like that. So it's important that we outlaw that. Let me just show you the clip of Jack Sawyer, and then we'll get into more reaction of the rivalry. But this is how angry he was. And for good reason. Because again, I've been there. I've lost to my rivals for 3 years in a row when I was in high school. It is a shitty feeling. All right.
We're not fucking playing the flag on our field again, bro. Fuck that shit, man. Fuck these guys. Play the flag on our field. Fuck you.
So that just gives you an idea of how angry he was and how much danger you actually put your staff in when you decide to plant flags and, stick the knife, twist the knife and stick it up your opponent's ass and all that. And this actually started, I remember the first time I actually saw it in college football was with Baker Mayfield. All right. And if you recall that year, Baker Mayfield, they planted a flag. Ironically, it was against Ohio State. And this is when Baker Mayfield was at Oklahoma. And he did that. He planted the flag. And I was just like Kirk Herbstreit, and I can't even remember the guy Kirk Herbstreit calls the games with at the moment. I think it's Brent. I can't remember right now, but I remember Kirk Herbstreit because I read Kirk Herbstreit's book, and Kirk Herbstreit is a Ohio State, like that's his school. he has his heart bleeds that scarlet and that red. He played there, his captain there, his whole family has gone through Ohio State. When you saw Baker Mayfield do it, you felt it in the broadcast where he took offense to it. And even though he had a job to do, it was one of those things where he wanted to jump. You could feel it as you were watching it because it felt like he wanted to jump out of the broadcast booth and go whoop Baker Mayfield's ass because you're showing a lot of disrespect. You showed a lot of disrespect when you decide to go and plant a flag on somebody's logo like that, and the where they practice, where they perform, all that kind of stuff. And then if you remember too, that year was the year in which Oklahoma went to the Rose Bowl. They lost in the semifinals to Georgia. And the iconic moment after that game was when you had the DN from Georgia. They just beat Oklahoma's ass, and then the Georgia DN is yelling at Baker Mayfield at the end. Hey, humble yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's important that even in a victory, an emotional victory like that, you as coaches, the adults got to step in, the NCAA got to step in, the conferences got to step in and say, hey, kick their ass on the field, go in the locker room, celebrate your ass off, and enjoy it. Go on social media, talk all your shit on social media, go on rants. But the flag planting thing, just cut the flag planting thing out. All right. So that's my take on it. Again, curious to hear your thoughts. But it leads me actually into the discussion on what we're really going to be diving into today. All right. Rivalry week. All right. So when it comes to this, me growing up in Silver Spring, Maryland, where, again, primarily known as a basketball state, I was one of the ones that gravitated to football. Football became my life. Football became the thing that I got my acceptance with. And actually, my sister was a student at the University of Maryland. And this was back when Under Armour was just getting started, and we were still in the Atlantic Coastal Conference, the ACC. Maryland would play schools like Florida State, and it was basically a weak weaker ACC team. And then about 10 years ago, so maybe a little over a decade now, they transitioned to the Big Ten. obviously because of money and because of the way football and basketball, how money is distributed and all that kind of stuff. Again, a lot of politics, a lot of things, a lot of the ways that stuff goes on. So here's what happened. All right. Became a member of the Big Ten, and the school that primarily, when it comes to recruiting, the school that Maryland had to compete with when it comes to where the top recruits were going to go was Penn State, because you see it on the map. You see Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania is like right there. So when it comes to landing the top recruits kind of in that Northeast area, if we're talking about FBS level football, Big Ten level football, Penn State was the primary place in which you're going to compete with a lot of different recruits. So 10 years ago, I'll never forget this, because it was back when Randy Edsall was the coach of the University of Maryland. Randy Edsall used to coach at UConn, and he came over to Maryland, and it was around the time the transition was there. And this was around the time also that they flipped Stefan Diggs. All right, Stefan Diggs, who we know is at this point, one of the top receivers in the NFL. He came out of my high school, good counsel, and then he decided to go to Maryland, which really actually shocked everybody. But I'll never forget that time, because Maryland was going through a transition from a football perspective, and now Maryland was trying to become a football powerhouse. So when it became a rivalry, when we started playing in the same conference, this was how it was received. This was I want to say it was like the first time that it became Penn State versus the University of Maryland as Big Ten rivals. This was the scene before the game, and I pulled it up just so you guys see how much hatred, where this dust up between James Franklin and Coach Loxley, where it kind of started when it comes to the schools that they represent.
Familiarity does breed a little contempt. There are a lot of PA guys in white uniforms today, and a lot of Maryland guys in blue today, Joey, and they exchanged some pleasantries pregame. And no handshake for the coin toss from Maryland before the game today. It is on. Familiarity does breed.
Yeah. So what happened, again, because like she said, this was, then you saw it was 10 years ago. You get a lot of PA guys deciding to go to Maryland. You get a lot of Maryland guys deciding to go to PA. Again, the top recruits, the top people. In fact, even at the high school level, I remember there was a running back that Matha had that was from Philly or something like that, from Delaware, and they would make the transition from Philly to Maryland and all kinds of stuff, all sorts of shady recruiting practices and things like that. So the Maryland and Penn State rivalry is something that I grew up around. I saw it, even though I'm a Michigan fan at heart. There's something that I saw, and I realized how much it actually means to certain people when it comes to playing for the pride and tradition for your organization. So this past week, there was a we'll say some tension within the handshake. All right, obviously some words exchanged within the handshake after Penn State just tapped up on some Maryland ass. And that, again, pains me to say, seeing that I'm from Maryland, I get it. Look, Penn State, they got it this year, but they beat Maryland's ass pretty well. And there was some tension at the handshake. And it brings me to what we got to understand as coaches, as adults, as the adults in the business and the folks that it's our responsibility to set a quality example for the young people. There was, as a matter of fact, let me just play it and then I'll respond to it, and then we'll get to the Ohio State Michigan recap.
It didn't look like it was the smoothest post-game handshake. Is that the statistics and their ones still in there, or can you explain that last touchdown?
Yeah, I get it, right? At the end of the game, we throw a touchdown. I get it. But a couple things I will say. My job is to put the 3s and 4s in the game. But when the 3s and 4s get to go in the game, they get to play football. Those guys deserve to play football. Your 1s are in the game. You're trying to score. We're trying to score. On top of that, you're playing cover 0. If you don't want, play cover 2. So I'm good with it. And on top of that, there's also a change in college football. We are trying to play as long as we can, make the playoffs, and be seeded as high as possible. And scoring as many points and a point differential matters. All that matters. And if you don't get that, it's really not my problem. So, W, 1-0. I'm good with it. Anybody that's not, that's.
Hey. All right, let me give you guys some backstory with this one, because this one was actually interesting for me to watch. All right, my first ever camp going to the University of Maryland as a kid. James Franklin, the gentleman that you just saw in the video, he was actually the offensive coordinator at the University of Maryland. And I remember, meeting him then and actually getting into the business a little bit myself. And as folks who were like kind of the older heads, the football people that were around Maryland really wanted James Franklin for that University of Maryland job. I mean, they spoke very, very highly of him. Now, I met Loxley when I was really in the business. I was an FBU scout, and it was around the time that DJ Durkin had dealt with his situation. I think it was DJ Durkin who dealt with his situation where they had to let him, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was DJ Durkin. No. Etzel. No, excuse me. Etzel had already gotten fired, and Coach Loxley, I believe, took the intern job. Somebody had gotten fired. He had took the interim head coach at the University of Maryland. Then they brought in DJ Durkin, and then he had his situation, and they brought Loxley back in to be the head coach. And so, I met him through all that, being a Maryland guy and all that kind of stuff. And my take on it is this. I remember reading this way back when I just graduated from college. I was a college scout. I was out there recruiting. I was in the business. I'm like reading book after book, and I'm just this was literally all I did was just going out recruiting and really developing my lane in the business of college football. And I remember reading Lou Holtz's book. It's titled "Winning Every Day," one of the best books I've ever read, and Lou Holtz had a similar dilemma that Mike Loxley had, all right, where it's a game. You're obviously not going to win. You're getting blown out. And Bobby Bowden apparently, quote unquote, ran up the score and did exactly what James Franklin, quote unquote, did and scored a late touchdown or whatever. And Lou Holtz tells a story in his book. And he said he went to Bobby Bowden and he said, "Hey, what the hell was that all about? You got to twist the knife, you got to stick it up our ass and all that kind of stuff." And apparently Bobby, the way the story was written, Bobby Bowden goes, "Hey, look, it's your responsibility to stop us. If you're going to get mad at anybody, go get mad at your players. All right. This is why I got to take the side. I actually got to take the side with James Franklin on this one, even though I'm from Maryland, even though it kind of pains me to have to admit that, but it goes down to that. If you don't want us scoring, then stop us. Stop us. Straight up. He has a national championship aspirations. He has a Big Ten championship to think about. He has rankings to think about. He's actually still has a team that's playing for something. Okay, he needs to get his 3s and 4s ready. He needs to make sure his culture is still where it needs to be. He, again, has an opportunity right now to go win a Big Ten championship. He can't be concerned with you liking or you, whatever you want to call it, sticking it up their ass or, quote, bullshit and putting a cheap one in. He can't be concerned with that. So I love what James Franklin did. I really did. I have absolutely no issues with it. If you're getting your ass whooped, stop us. Stop us. And that's the mentality. And that's where, again, I think if you're Loxley, you got to take it. You got to eat it. You got to simply eat it. And you don't get to have, if you put up a competitive fight and you actually had a team that competed with them, then you shouldn't be worrying about that stuff. You should, and if you're upset about it, okay, now I'll close you out with this, then we'll get to the Ohio State-Michigan game. But if you are actually upset about it, go to your men in the locker room, go to your boys in the locker room. And this is something that actually Coach Anderson did when I coached high school out at in Maryland. This is one of the things he said at the banquet. is he went and he told the players. He told the players and he told their families. He told the people that were bought into the program about that cheap shit that some of the other teams did to us, and let that be the motivation. But it is so just tacky and classless, in my opinion, and weak, puts off a weak front for you to, hold on to James Franklin and try to tell him what he did was bullshit when he has a team that's actually winning, when he has a team that's competing for Big Ten championships, when he has a team that can actually, go on and win a national championship. You don't get to tell me that. Go win some games. Win some games. That would be my message or that would be where I am when it comes to that little dust up. All right. So here we are now, baby. Here we are. You know what? Let me put on my hat for this segment. Go Blue! Woo! Oh my goodness. Goodness. I'm telling you, to know them, to know why I'm a fan. If you know me personally, if you've known me throughout my my football life from when I was a kid, you know how special. Actually, I think I still have a picture of it somewhere here because I talked about why I've become such a diehard Michigan fan. Go look at this picture right here. You see that one on the right? That was the team I played for. Again, Warriors football. You see right there the couple episodes when I wore the wing helmets and all that. All right, so wow. So I watched this game. I've watched every game. The only connection I have to the university is the football program, is everything the football program represents, everything that they're about. I've become a fan, not just your typical fan, but I've become a fan because of everything I've lived through as a player. And when you live through certain things as a player, as a kid, and you transition that into your adult life, and you actually played college football and you have experiences in this game, when it comes to these rivalries, when it comes to actually, supporting a team from that perspective, and you can see it from both lenses, these kinds of wins hit a different level because I gave my input. I gave my thoughts. I gave my scouting reports. I said everything. I give Ohio State a ton of credit. They got one hell of a team. I will never, ever take away from that. I'm not one of these fans that is going to sit here and talk about how bad of a coach Ryan Day is. I actually met Ryan Day when he was a wide receivers coach at Temple University. Again, I shook the man's hand. I know he knows football. He knows football very well. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you what exactly the issue is and how Michigan had one chance only to win this game. And it just so happened that this is what won them the game. This is what's won them the game for the past 4 years. If you look on paper, Ohio State has had the more talented roster. They've had Marvin Harrison Jr. They've had C.J. Stroud. They have this new guy, Jeremiah Smith, Ubeka. The wide receivers for Ohio State are absolute studs. They're studs, okay? We were down our best corner. We had a nickel guy playing corner. We had the tight end that we throw the ball to every week. Colston Loveland, he's out. The running back that broke off on him a couple years, Donovan Edwards, he has an ankle thing. He can't go. We only got one running back who's a lineman. I mean, we were depleted, a walk-on for a quarterback, okay? However, the strength of our team is the front seven. Kenneth Grant, them boys up front stopped Ohio State from being able to run the ball. All right. And here's the issue. Here's my main thing. And I remember going on Sunday morning. I went on a rant and I explained this to you folks. I explained this to every single delusional Ohio State fan, all right, the delusional Ohio State fan and the members of the national media who think just because you have a bunch of great receivers, a bunch of great skill positions, not taking anything away from Ohio State's talent on paper. Again, talented roster. You still got to run the ball. You still got to establish a run. If you don't want to listen to me, matter of fact, I'll let you listen to what Coach Day said after the game, because what he's getting criticized for, what people are saying about him is, oh, well, why not put the ball in Jeremiah Smith's hands more? Why not throw more passes? Why not throw a few more up? Well, guess what? You can't do that if you haven't established the run game. Because what starts to happen is the front seven, if the front seven did what I thought they could do, what I was hoping that they did, the front seven for Michigan decided we're not letting them run the ball on us. Now our DBs could just play back and play football. Let's go back and play football. All right. Well, we're going to just throw in the triple coverage and think that the DBs are that bad that they're going to watch Jeremiah Smith catch a ball, even though they've been playing back. They're not worried about your run. I'll let him explain it. I'll let him explain it. Go.
And that's really, what happened. And, do that. And there's disappointment and frustration to do here.
Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Coach. Third quarter, twice you're in the red zone with a first down, and they had fouled Smith twice in the end zone on pass interference. Neither of those possessions, you put the ball toward the end zone, and both of them bogged down. You come away scoreless both times, interception, missed field goal. Just do you lament coming away from not taking a shot to put the ball in the end zone in those situations?
When a defense is playing softer and kind of backing up like they did in this game, you have to be able to take the underneath stuff or run the football. And that's really, what happened. And, there were times we tried to push the ball into the end zone, but ultimately, you can't just, force that. You gotta be smart in what you're doing, because, they can put a cloud over him like they did and put two guys on him. So, there's opportunities to do that. We did that, but also you got to execute in other areas. And that's what we'd always talk about in balance. And when you don't have balance and you can't run and throw the ball when you need to, then this is what happens.
Did you guys hear that? Okay. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Ohio State fans, did you hear it? You delusional members of the national media who don't know a damn thing about football, who are so conventional and think that, oh, just because you have great receivers and great skill positions, automatically that's gonna automatically give you wins. That is not how the game works. That's not how business works. You don't win just because you have a great logo, right? You don't win just because you have cool merch. You win because of what goes on in the trenches. That's how it works. All right. That's how it works. I'm going to play it one more time. Just listen to it. The question was, and if you recognize the tone of the question, the reporter asked him, oh, well, you scored at the end of the second quarter because the Jeremiah Smith, they marched the ball down the field at the end of the second quarter, primarily through the pass game, and they scored with Jeremiah Smith. And actually, it wasn't marching the ball down the field. They got lucky, in my personal opinion. They got lucky with a interference. They got down. They pass interference calls, and they ended it with a touchdown in the end zone. All right, we'll give them that. However, that's not going to work all game. You're not going to be able to do that every single play. You have to establish some balance in the run in order for you to be able to open that up. I'll let it play one more time, just in case you guys didn't hear it, just for the people in the back. Tell them.
And that's really, what happened. And, do that. And there's disappointment and frustration to do here.
Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Coach. Third quarter, twice you're in the red zone with a first down, and they had fouled Smith twice in the end zone on pass interference. Neither of those possessions, you put the ball toward the end zone, and both of them bogged down. You come away scoreless both times, interception, missed field goal. Just do you lament coming away from not taking a shot to put the ball in the end zone in those situations?
When a defense is playing softer and kind of backing up like they did in this game, you have to be able to take the underneath stuff or run the football. And that's really, what happened. And, there were times we tried to push the ball into the end zone, but ultimately, you can't just, force that. You gotta be smart in what you're doing, because they can put a cloud over him like they did and put two guys on him. So there's opportunities to do that. We did that, but also you got to execute in other areas, and that's what we'd always talk about in balance. And when you don't have balance and you can't run and throw the ball when you need to, then this is what happens.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's what lost them the game. That's what lost them the game. All right. And for those of you out there who think that, it's just Ryan Day being illegitimate or just being an imbecile, being someone that doesn't know football or doesn't know how to coach or whatever it is you want to use on him, I understand. I get it. But let's just be honest. All right. They weren't able to win the game. They weren't able to move the ball offensively because our defensive front seven, our defensive line did not let them get moving on the run game. So what happened was our D-backs were able to morning. How are you? It's a great day. It's a great day. Good morning. So our defensive backs were able to back up, even though we were outmanned, even though, again, if you look at it on paper, our DBs compared to Ohio State's DBs, they would eat all day. It wouldn't matter because the balance wasn't there on Ohio State's end. So what we have to learn from that, whether you are watching this and you're trying to build a football organization, or you watch me and you tune into my work because you want to take the lessons from the game and apply them to your business, you have to understand you need more foundational pieces in your business. This game proves that. On paper, Ohio State has been the most talented roster for the past 4 years. They really have. I mean, the best receiver in the country at one point, Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Plus, you mix it in with all the other stuff that they had. However, they weren't able to win the game, win in the trenches up front. They weren't able to do what they needed to do. So as we transition in the business, let me just I'm going to give my final message to all of you folks out there who think they know football or think that just because you have a talented roster on the skill positions, there's a famous clip, coach, and I actually played against him when I played at Stony Brook, and this was back when we were in the Big South, and we used to play against a team named Coastal Carolina, and it was this coach who he crystallized the message I have for all of you Ohio State fans that believe that you're going to keep bringing in these skill guys. And again, every year we're going to kick that ass as long as we have the solid front seven. Listen to my man. Listen to the coach from Coastal Carolina a few years ago who broke it down exactly and has a message for you guys that you need to hear. Take it away.
So I said, what are you doing in here, little kitty cat? By that time, the cat turns, tries to get back out. That screen won't go that way. Cat starts going, meow, all crazy. And I told our players, we need more dogs. Bo's barking in the back. I have to go shut Bo up. Mel's like, what's going on? I said, there's a cat in the house. Cat in the house? I said, yeah, there's a cat in the house. So I told our players, I tried to let it out the front door. Meow, meow, the cat's still going crazy in there. And I told our players, you need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. Be a dog. We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats. We need more dogs.
Be a dog. Be a dog. That's what the game of football is about, is who could be a dog. Now, the term dog gets thrown around a lot in the business, and in my opinion, it gets misused. A dog is the mofos up front. All right. Those 5 offensive linemen, the tight ends, the fullbacks, linebackers, D ends, D tackles, 3 techniques. The dogs. Those are the dogs. You know, the skill position, like you would say, they got extra bands on. You're looking cute. You're looking finesse. Our coaches call it finesse football. If you want to win football games, you gotta be a dog. You gotta be a dog. He crystallized it perfectly. You need to be a dog. Let me play it one more time, and then I'll get into how we can transition what we learn into your business, and more specifically, what are the lessons that you need to be taking away. I'm gonna play it one more time, and then we'll transition it into to your business and how to make that work.
So I said, what are you doing in here, little kitty cat? By that time, the cat turns, tries to get back out. That screen won't go that way. Cat starts going, meow, all crazy. And I told our players, we need more dogs. Bo's barking in the back. I have to go shut Bo up. Mel's like, what's going on? I said, there's a cat in the house. Cat in the house? I said, yeah, there's a cat in the house. So I told our players, I tried to let it out the front door. Meow, meow, the cat's still going crazy in there. And I told our players, you need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. Be a dog. We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats. We need more dogs.
Oh, that is classic. That is classic stuff. We need more dogs. We need more dogs. Because I remember the reason it hits home is because I remember seeing this. This is what I said as player, as a coach, as scout. When you go on, you look at certain players, they looking good. They got the bands on, the gloves are matching. They got 2 mouthpieces, the visor's clean, and they are weak. Weak the minute they take a hit. And then he cries, be a dog. Be a dog. Be a dog. The game is about who got some dog in them. All right. And if you look at the last 4 years, the Wolverines just had more dog. We had more dog. We had more dog. Be a dog. The Ohio State Buckeyes, a lot of kitty cats. They were looking good on paper. They're looking good. But the Michigan Wolverines had dogs. We had dogs. We had dogs. We had that up front O-line. Get up off me. Moving mofos around. Dogs. Be a dog. Oh man, that win. It was gratifying. It was gratifying because again, I watched my team every single Saturday, every single week. I mean, lose just a shell of themselves from a year ago, from that national championship year. And, you know, you get Bryce Underwood and you go blow out Northwestern, and then you get yourself right to win this game. All right, all is forgiven. I remember actually reading a blog as we were, going through some of our tough times this year, and the blog saying, hey, we beat Ohio State this year. All is forgiven. We get ourselves right. That championship hangover from last year, it's gone. We back to being dogs. Being a dog. We're back to being a dog while Ohio State is on some kitty cat bullshit and they looking cool. They want to do stuff for the cameras and all that. So I digress. Here's the way we translate that into your business. Here's what we learn. Here's what we got to take away. Here's what we got to think about when it comes to how we build the foundation of our business. What the move swiftly idea, what the acronym means. All right. It stands for skilled workers, well-informed workers, and front team workers. All right. Skilled guys are like the kitty cats, the ones that would make great athletes. Again, not taken away from their ability. You get a skilled, whether you're a skilled cosmetologist, whether you're skilled at skilled worker, whatever it is, you type in the chat if you could think of skilled workers, plumbers, whatever it is, all sorts of skills out there that people will call, hey, I need such and such fix. This person has a skill to fix that. I'll pay you to fix that skill. That's what skilled workers are. Again, not taken away from their importance. Anybody would love to make money just off their skill alone. I'm a person that makes money just off my ability, my skill as a public speaker. All right. Great thing to have. However, WI. All right. We're getting through the Swiftly acronym. Well-informed. You have to have information. You have to be in a situation where you're around well-informed workers. Quarterback would be your example of a well-informed worker. I don't care how good your skill guys are. If you don't have a quarterback that has it together, knows how to make their reads, knows how to put skilled people in the right positions, they're not going to be successful. So those are your managers, your business owners, the folks that are paid, that are responsible for making a lot of decisions and putting the right people in place. Then you have FT, skilled, well-informed FT. That stands for front team. These are your big boys, the foundation. The reason Michigan won that game is because our front team workers, the offensive and defensive lines, were just better than Ohio State's that day, that particular afternoon. We were just better, plain and simple. And that's the crew that no one really pays attention to, because there's not a lot of glitz and glamour that come with that. Just like in your business, not a lot of glitz and glamour for the people that, clean up the windows, that mop floors, that do a lot of the dirty work, right? Dirty work that you would never, ever think of doing, that you never know goes on in a foundation. All right. That's SWIFT, Swift, adding LY, plus LY. You see it right here on the shirt, plus LY. Lift yourself. All right. When you're starting a business from scratch, when you're a business owner, which is primarily the people that are in my audience, I know those are primarily the people that I talk to. You're a business owner. Before you start looking for skill, you have to make sure there's foundational pieces that are going to give you an opportunity to win every single day. Win every single. Oh, appreciate you. Just reading through some comments, but you have to give yourself an opportunity to win every single game by building those foundational pieces, building the foundational pieces. And when you look at the game between Ohio State and Michigan, yes, more talent on paper. Ohio State easily had the more talented team on paper. What gave Michigan a chance, even in a rebuilding year, the way we were in a rebuilding year all year, was the fact that our defensive line did not let them just run the ball up and down our throat. And if they did, then we would have had huge problems. But that one thing that they could not do, we didn't let them happen. We didn't let it happen. And you as a business owner can think about, okay, where's the foundational pieces in my business? Where's the foundational pieces in my business that are going to make it so I give myself a chance every single day against whatever competitor is doing whatever out there? That's really the takeaway. That's really the main thing from this entire rivalry week. All right. Do not pay a whole lot of attention to what the national media pushes you to, all right, or where the national media tries to steer you, because they're only paying attention to the glitz and the glamour, to the skill positions, to what's conventional. But when you really watch the game and you really know the business and you look at it play after play and you have the detail oriented look about it, you say, okay, this is where the strengths are, this is where the weaknesses are. Depending on how that game plays out and what they're able to do, that's going to dictate the result. When you go off that, when you go off actual things that are happening, not off what folks are saying and hype, if you go off actual experiences and things that are going on, that's what you use to dictate your results. That's how you move forward. All right. So all that being said, I teach this to business owners. This is what I do. Let me see if I just saw your comment. Thank you. So get on your Geek On Network. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for subscribing. Look forward to keeping up with you. Anybody new in my world, make sure you tap into I do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's called Tackling Turnover Teamwork. Also, you can tap in with me. The Move Swiftly podcast is new episodes that come out every single day. And make sure if you are serious about building a business and creating a team, creating a cohesive staff, a cohesive organization, be sure to tap in with me on the Patreon link. It's patreon.com/as144. Just go there and we'll talk more in that group, in that community. All that being said, everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. 44. In that community.